All right, what's up, everyone? So we have continued along with our packet. We're jumping into plants, and we have covered non-vascular plants. Those are mosses. We've covered vascular seedless plants. That's a fern. Now we're going to do vascular seed plants. So before I even click anything, you should be able to infer that vascular means that they're going to have xylem and phloem. And if they are seed plants, they're going to actually make seeds. Okay, so there are many more of seed plants than there are seedless plants. Think of it this way. Once something new and cool comes out, I'm just going to use, let's say, a smartphone, for example. Once everyone gets their hands on a smartphone, you don't really want to go back to an old flip phone. Goodness gracious. Unless you have to, because it's cooler, it's evolved in a sense. Okay, so once we got seeds, once plants got seeds, it was the newest and coolest thing, so plants didn't really want to go backwards. A lot of the foods you eat are seed plants, okay? Rice, peas, corn, if you eat any kind of pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin seeds, all of those, tomatoes, cucumbers, all of those yummy foods that you eat, mostly vegetables and fruits, are going to be seed plants. But like it says rice, a lot of grains are going to be seed plants as well. Okay, and you also wear a lot of clothing that comes from seed plants. If you wear anything that's made of cotton, okay, cotton is a seed plant. It has xylem and phloem. It does make seeds. The cotton, most likely, I believe is correct, actually is the fluffy part of the seed. That's what's going to transport it from one area to the next, so that it can implant itself and make a new plant. Okay, so the biggest one there is cotton. So you can see here, just like if you were going out and planting a seed, I know when I was younger, we always planted a pumpkin seed, and then there was this big competition in September, and you had to decorate your pumpkin as best as you could, and if you won, you got a blue ribbon, and that's all you got, and it was so fun. So we planted seeds when I was younger. So seed plants have vascular tissue. I got lazy and ran out of space, so VT is vascular tissue. Seed plants are going to use pollen and seeds to reproduce. So I bet half of us sitting in this room right now have a pollen allergy, myself included. During the spring, my allergies are just terrible. I take all kinds of medicine. I always have a box of tissues near me. So these plants all have a root. They have stems. They have leaves. They have the three major parts of a plant. And most of these are going to live on land. Remember that standing upright is a challenge. So when they do this, they have to have all sorts of adaptations in order to supply their cells with food and water. They have to have this vascular tissue, this VT. Okay. So you can see here this bee is covered in yellow dots. Every single one of those yellow dots is a pollen grain. Okay, so when you're allergic to pollen, you're allergic to one of these dots right there. And that one, and that one, and that one. Okay, so imagine if this bee had allergies. Oof. So seed plants can live in a variety of places. They can probably live in more places than seedless plants because they have seeds. They don't need water in order to reproduce. So like I was kind of talking about before, and I'm going to really get into it here, seed plants have all different ways to move their seeds around. Some plants eject them like a rocket. Some plants make little paper airplanes. Some plants stick to you. So if you've ever walked through a field and you come out and you got all kinds of like little burrs or little spiky things stuck to you, that's a seed. The plant has adapted to move its seed around. So a lot of plants are also going to use pollen, which are tiny structures that contain cells that will later become sperm. So this is where it gets a little weird. If you're allergic to pollen, you're actually allergic to plant sperm. So that's that. So pollen delivers sperm cells directly to the eggs of a flower. Okay, so plants have sperm and eggs. They have gametes, just like humans do, just like animals do. So after it's fertilized, after that pollen touches the egg, the baby begins to develop. The seed begins to develop. So here's that definition. A seed is the structure that contains a young plant inside a protective covering. So let's compare it to a human. When mommy and daddy kiss, the sperm and the egg come together. Then the little baby starts to form inside mommy's belly. Same thing here. When the pollen and the egg touch in a plant, the seed is going to start to develop. So we, as humans, we're called fetuses when we're tiny little babies. But in a plant, it's called a seed. Okay, it's a young plant inside a protective covering. We're going to look at this more on Thursday. So a seed protects the young plant from drying out. It has 3 really crucial parts. We're going to look at this on Thursday. We're going to dissect a couple beans, see what you guys can find out there. Okay. So if you like seeds, pumpkin seeds, let's see, what other kind of seeds might you eat? Peas, corn, trying to think, peanuts, those are seeds. Okay, all of those are going to have, if you can picture a peanut or a piece of corn or a sunflower seed, there's a pointy part. There's one end that's pointy and there's one end that's round. The pointy end is actually the baby plant. Okay, so we're going to look at this more on Thursday. So if you can't picture it, that's totally okay. So here's a couple seeds. Okay, you got seeds in the middle of an apple. You got seeds on the strawberry, seeds in your watermelon. There's seeds in oranges. There's a giant pit of a seed in an avocado. If you watch a YouTube video, you can actually grow an avocado tree. It only takes like 10 years if you're interested. Okay. So there are 2 types of plants here that you need to know. The first one is called a gymnosperm. Okay, it's a seed plant that makes naked seeds. So it's a little weird to think about, but when you go to gym class, a lot of times you have to change out. You have to get kind of naked. Okay, you're not getting fully naked. You're keeping your underwear and stuff on, okay? But you have to take off your nice shirt and your nice pants so that you can change out into your gym clothes. So here's how you're going to remember that. A gymnosperm is naked seeds because in gym class you get kind of naked, okay? So they are naked because they are not covered with a fruit. So if you go up to a pine cone and it's a fresh pine cone that has just been made, inside these little scales, you're actually going to be able to see a seed in there. And it's not protected by a fruit. So if we look back on this page, these seeds are protected by the orange. These seeds are protected by the watermelon. This giant seed is protected by the flesh of the avocado. These seeds in the gymnosperms are not protected. I could walk up, stick my finger on one of these scales, and pull it out immediately. I don't have to cut anything open. So that's the major difference here. So these trees that make the gymnosperms, or that are gymnosperms, are often needle-like or scale-like leaves, okay? So these are your evergreens, your conifers. We live in a lot of trees around here are pine trees. Okay, they have the needles that kind of hurt. So they're the oldest type of seed plant. They are 360 million years old. So basically this is your, if you celebrate Christmas, this is your Christmas tree. Okay, that is a pine tree or a type of pine tree. Okay, so if you would allow that pine tree to get to a mature age, it would eventually make little pine cones. So conifers is the one you need to know here. Conifers are cone-bearing. They both start with C. It's the largest and most diverse group. There's all types of pine trees out there, from the ones that you might have in your living room at Christmas, all the way up to the big tall ones that they harvest for wood and that they sell. They do that a lot around here. So these are your evergreens, and the title is correct, evergreen. They are forever green. They keep their needles year-round, evergreen, okay? So these are the trees that when you look outside right now, they are still going to be green and lush. Here's some more pictures, okay? So here's your Christmas tree if you celebrate Christmas. I know some people keep them up year-round, so maybe it's your Easter tree. I don't judge. And these are some more needles. This pine cone is not yet open, so this pine cone is fresh. If you would peel back one of these scales, you would be able to see the seeds. So I think that's pretty cool. The other type is angiosperm. So we have gymnosperms make naked seeds, because when you go to gym, you get kind of naked. Angiosperms make flowers. So in Valentine's Day, in February, okay, it's totally, I'm making a stereotype here, that girls get flowers. Not always. Sometimes boyfriends and fiancés and husbands get flowers too, okay? But typically when you think of Valentine's Day, you think of a girl getting a flower. So let's call that girl Angie. Angie is a girl name, typically. So Angie gets flowers. Okay, so that's how we're going to remember this one. So these do produce flowers. They produce seeds that are enclosed in a fruit. So this is the pictures before. An avocado, an apple, a lime, a lemon, a grapefruit. That's a delicious fruit right there. Okay, bananas. I know the banana you eat at the store does not have seeds because it's genetically modified, but bananas, wild bananas, actually have seeds in the middle of them. Cucumbers have seeds. All different types of plants have seeds, so they all come from angiosperms. Most of the fruits and vegetables you eat come from angiosperms. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any you eat that come from conifers or gymnosperms. Okay. So a deciduous tree is a good example of an angiosperm. Deciduous means the plant sheds its leaves at the end of the growing season and regrows them in the spring. So if you look outside right now, you're going to see a lot of trees that do not have leaves. We're used to this because we live in a deciduous forest. That's a biome. Okay, some of you guys might have researched that for that STEM activity we did. All of our trees, most of our trees, I should say, lose their leaves or drop their leaves in the fall, just like this one's doing. And then in the spring, they all start to bud and then the leaves grow back. So here's how to remember this one. The trees can't decide if they want to keep their leaves or not. Okay, so deciduous kind of looks like the word decide. So they cannot decide if they should keep those leaves or not. So on angiosperms, like I said, they're called flowering plants. So the flower is the reproductive part of an angiosperm. So on Valentine's Day, you might be all cute and give your boyfriend or girlfriend or mom or grandma or maybe your favorite teacher, Miss Riddle, some flowers. What you're actually giving that person is the no-no part of the plant. So that's another little awkward bit. It does contain a few parts, and we're going to look at this tomorrow, Tuesday, hopefully. And we're going to kind of dissect a flower. We're going to look at its sepals, its petals, stamen, and pistils. We're going to look at all those in a flower. So they do come in a variety of colors, shapes, and smells in order to attract different animals. Those are all adaptations. Some animals are colorblind. Think of Donkey from Shrek. He can't see the color blue. So all different type of animals can see different colors. They can smell different scents. So the flowers are going to adapt to attract different animals. Okay, so here's what I was just saying. They need to attract animals in order to pollinate or to move that pollen from one plant to another, because remember, the pollen is the sperm. It's got to get from one plant to another in order to make a baby plant. Okay, so pollination is the transfer of pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part. So flowers actually do have, most flowers, I should say, have both boy parts and girl parts. The flower we're going to dissect is both a girl and a boy. So we're going to look at that tomorrow, hopefully. So here's a picture. We're going to stop right after this. So we're going to see a picture or a flower tomorrow that's going to look very similar. It's going to have sepals. Sepals protect the very delicate petals, and you're going to be able to feel the difference. The sepals are tougher. They're more like a thick jacket. Okay, it kind of protects you from the wind, whereas your petals are like a shirt. Okay, it's very soft to the touch. It's not really wind resistant. Here in the middle, you have the pregnant belly. Okay, think of mom's pregnant belly. And here is the girl part, just like a girl should be, right in the center. Okay, so the girl part is right in the center of the flower. And then this flower actually has 6 male parts. So there are 6 boy parts in this flower and only 1 female part in this flower. Sometimes there's only 1 boy part. Sometimes there's up to 12 boy parts. So it kind of depends on the flower. The one we're going to look at tomorrow looks almost exactly like this. So we're going to see the sepal. We're going to see some petals. We're going to see a we're going to see some stamens, and we're going to see a pistil. Okay, so get ready for that tomorrow. And that's it. After you are finished writing down all your notes, you need to go back to Google Classroom, or you need to look up on the front whiteboard and see what you need to do next.